Hello, friends. Welcome to episode 65 of Pantry to Plate. I am Kristen, the food bank dietitian, and we are coming to you from the Kaiser Permanente Learning Kitchen at the Atlanta Community Food Bank. And today we have guest Chef Virginia Willis. Welcome back.
Oh my God, I'm so glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
So good to have you back in the kitchen, and we're super excited to see this very just homey filling dish that you're going to prepare for us today.
It smells so good in here right now.
It does. So I wish you guys could smell it.
Comfort food.
Exactly. So September is Hunger Action Month, and Virginia is here with us today because she is holding a fundraiser on behalf of the food bank and to help us support our neighbors in need. So today actually is Hunger Action Day, which is just kind of like the peak of Hunger Action Month, if you will, and where we are looking for your support and talking to you about how you can take action in support of your neighbors in need. So at the end of the video, we will share an opportunity for you to take action in a monetary way, but there are different ways that you can take action, and we will share those at the end of the video. Okay, let's get started.
Cheesy chicken, broccoli, rice casserole.
Yes. Actually, I was going to say something before that. We were wanting to talk to you about foods that fight hunger. So not only is this dish a homey dish with,
it's robust and filling.
Yes. All the ingredients
rice
are
and
filling.
Protein and vegetables and cheese.
Exactly. We're talking about ways to find balance across your meals and snacks when we're trying to fight hunger. Because when you're hungry, it's very easy to just pick that closest thing next to you that feels filling in the moment, something like a potato chip that might be like high calorie, but it doesn't last very long because it's like high, low volume.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
So this dish is going to have a bunch of components in it that are going to be more volume and more energy, not energy dense in a good way. So we're talking about balance, right?
Yes.
So when we're thinking about preparing meals that are going to keep us full for a longer period of time instead of a short period of time, we're talking about balance. So making sure that you've got your food groups covered, and then also thinking about things like fiber content and water content, because water can contribute to your stomach feeling full, and it also helps the fiber, and it all just works together.
We all need more water, right?
Need more water.
We're made of water. It's good for us.
Exactly. So this dish is going to cover all of these components, and we'll give you a nice filling meal to help you fight hunger.
Yeah.
Okay. Ready?
Yeah.
Let's get into the dish now.
I can smell it. So what we've got is we have one that is almost cooked, and we're going to finish it first.
Yes.
Okay. So let me grab that.
And you want me to grab it?
If I can do it, it's okay. Yeah. So I got it.
It smells so good in here, you guys.
Okay. So there we go. Let me get the door.
All right, here we go.
So in this is a casserole that has been baking for approximately 40 minutes. And towards the end of cooking is when we want to finish it. So here we have some broccoli. So let's see, if you want to add that, I'll stir it in.
Okay.
So you'll see that we just want to kind of put that, and then we're going to spin it, and you can see that the rice is cooked. So this is a combination of chicken and rice and cheese, and it looks like a church supper, to be honest, right?
It definitely looks like something you eat on Sunday.
Yeah, it looks like. But look at this big, huge casserole, right? So this would easily serve and then have leftovers as well, and I absolutely love it. Okay, so we've added the broccoli, and then now we're going to top it with a little bit more cheese and breadcrumbs.
So that's going to add like a little extra texture and tie it in with just a little bit more cheese.
Yep. And then see, the other thing that I've done here too, you'll notice, is we didn't smooth it out completely flat.
I noticed that.
Right. So we're going to get some peaks and valleys some of that cheese is going to melt more than the other. The breadcrumbs are going to get toasty, but we've got it all uneven. So now that we've put the broccoli and the breadcrumb on top, I'll pop it back in the oven, and then we'll get started on the second one.
Okay, and we're going to show you this from the beginning to this point. There we go. Reset.
I love this kind of dish, right? This is
Yes.
just homey and filling, and it's actually easy. There are quite a few components, but I tell you what, I am going to start by sauteing some vegetables. And I've got my butter here. You could also use oil if you wanted to. The butter is going to have a really rich flavor. And then this is a helpful hint. The leftover wrapper, Kristen, will you butter your pan?
Absolutely.
Right? So
That's
it's just
super
a
smart.
little way to kind of prevent food waste, use every last little bit. And here in this pot, I'm going to combine some chicken stock and milk. So we're effectively making a gravy, but one of the things, Kristen, that you and I were talking about beforehand is that it's about making gravy, like of making the sauce. If someone wasn't able to make the sauce or had an alternative, they could do something different.
Absolutely. So you may traditionally in your household use something like a cream of chicken soup can in place of making a gravy or a sauce from scratch. Excuse me. So Virginia is going to show us how to make it from scratch today. In the case where you don't have a cream of something, whatever, they all fit in a dish like this. And so if you've got some flour on hand and you've got milk and you've got stock, you don't even need stock really to make this. No. You can flavor it up with other seasonings. So you can still make a casserole that will serve your whole household and maybe give you leftovers without having one specific ingredient, which is what we try to talk about often here, is just because you don't have that one ingredient that the recipe calls for, you can still make the same dish with a little bit of just extra cooking.
Yeah.
Basically.
Well, I think the thing is to remember is like this is effectively rice. So we need liquid to cook the rice. It's got some vegetables in it, so we need to saute the vegetables. But we're making a sauce, a gravy, which is effectively what cream of mushroom soup is, what cream of celery soup is. If you were pressed for time and you had a jar of gravy, you could use that. The reality is that this is a very sort of user-friendly dish.
Absolutely.
And we're not looking for something to be cooked absolutely perfectly, because part of its charm is the hominess of it, right? And if the rice gets a little overcooked, it just means it's creamier and richer. It doesn't mean it's a bad thing.
It's a casserole.
It's a casserole.
It all turned into one thing.
One yumminess. All right, so I have a sweet onion here, and I've got the root end, and then I also have the stem end, and this would be the end that would come out of the ground. And the first thing you want to do when you have a round vegetable is we're going to cut off that stem end, because now I have a flat surface, and so you're less likely to cut yourself. All right, so you'll see here that I have some vegetable trimmings, and this is just the onion skin and the end of the celery and the garlic peels. And this, you could put in your trash, you could put in your compost, or you could put this in a pot and cover it with water and effectively make vegetable stock, right? Exactly. So I do this IRL in real life in my home all the time. This is free money, right? This is free flavor. So it's a good thing to use. So now I have my onion that I've halved, and I'm just going to peel off this outside part. I love the work that you do here and the recipes that you share, and I think it's so wonderful because it's hard. It can be hard to cook. Like, we love it, but it can be hard to cook, and it's okay to feel that way.
Absolutely. It takes time and practice to get the comfort to just step in the kitchen. Maybe if you don't have a plan, to just feel comfortable with making a dish. And a lot of folks have that history in the kitchen, and maybe your grandparents or your mom or your anyone, any caregiver in your life that may have been an active cook could have taught you some of these skills and pass it down. And then a lot of us don't have those things. So it is our goal here in the nutrition program in this kitchen to share ways to use the ingredients that you get from pantries, or think about how to make dishes with what is available when you visit the pantry.
All right, so I have a half an onion, and I've got the flat side down, and then I'm not going to use my fingertips because my knife slips. I don't want it to cut my fingers. I'm going to use the pad of my palm, which is thicker and less likely to be cut, and then I'm going to make a couple of horizontal slices. And then I'm going to go back, and I've left the root end attached, and then I'm going to go back and make some vertical slices. And even though I've cut that onion apart, it's holding together. But watch. So now I just have to go back across like that, and we have chopped onion. And when you get down to this sort of larger piece, you can chop that too. But you were mentioning that sometimes the neighbors might get frozen mirepoix.
Or they may not get frozen vegetables, but so if we think about some of the most common produce items that we see, we see onions and potatoes and carrots and things that will last a little bit longer. And those are things you may be seeing at the food pantry. But if you don't have the one time or have those fresh items, you can use a frozen substitute to save yourself some time, and they are just as good as fresh. So an opportunity to kind of switch out these fresh produce items, you could use something like a frozen blend that's going to be like $1 a bag, and you are already like 3 steps ahead when you start cooking.
Sure.
So this one is what we call mirepoix, which is the basis of any soup.
Onions, carrots, and celery.
Onions,
it's a French word for onions, carrots, and celery.
Exactly. And this is just like a really great flavorful foundation and a great substitute for if you don't have these fresh items.
That's right. So I'm going to add some garlic. You could also add garlic powder, but I've got some fresh garlic. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take the clove and we're going to have it. And what you want to do is look in there and to see if there's a little green shoot. And if there's a little green shoot, we'll want to take that out, but these do not. And then this is a way that I like to chop garlic. We're just going to get it going. I put it towards the edge of the board and then just smash it.
Maybe you had a rough day.
Yeah, really.
Great opportunity.
Exactly. And then now I have this smashed, and then I'll just go back across. So in the pot, I have the butter, onions, celery, and then now I'm going to add my garlic. And we'll get that in there. And like I said, you could also use garlic powder. I'd use garlic powder over garlic salt. So
Absolutely.
Get that going. You stir that. All right. And then now we're going to make a gravy.
Yes.
Okay. So gravy starts with flour. So this is the thickener that we're going to use to thicken our stock. So I am going to put this directly into the vegetables and then stir that together. And then what's going to happen is this is going to be kind of dry looking. And you're like, uh-oh, what's going on? What did I do? But we're going to add the stock and milk combination. And that's a great example. So we're using stock and milk for richness. If you just wanted to use water, you could. If you wanted to use a combination of water and milk, you could. If you are non-dairy and you wanted to or have less dairy, then you could use the chicken stock. So I'm going to add this milk stock combination to our vegetables. And then now it's super important that you bring it to a boil, right? Because that is what's going to activate the starch. And that is what's going to allow this to thicken and look thick like a gravy.
Absolutely.
All right, so we're going to let that come up, and then we've got some more ingredients. Here I have rice. We want to talk about rice?
Absolutely. Let's talk about rice. This is long grain rice, right?
Mm-hmm.
Different types of rice across the spectrum. This might be the most common type you might find at a food pantry.
Mm-hmm.
And this is raw rice, which can be not confused with like quick cooking rice or like 5-minute rice, something like that. That type of rice has been partially cooked and then they dehydrate it. So it is going to cook more quickly once it hits the liquid. This is uncooked raw rice. And this is it's a great value. It's something that I always have in my kitchen.
a great proportion for cooking rice is 1 cup of rice to 1.5 cups of liquid. So 1 cup of rice to 1.5 cups of liquid. And you think, well, this recipe's not that. That's because we have other ingredients in it that are giving it liquid. But if you just want a bowl of rice, 1 cup of rice to 1.5 cups of liquid. So the other ingredients in here, so I'll put the rice in. We've gotten this going. I can see it starting to thicken just a little bit on the edges, right? And then so now, start to steam. So now I'll put the rice in. And we're also going to add cheese. So more cheese. And you could go higher or lower with cheese if you wanted to.
Absolutely. This one is actually a low-fat option in cheese. Virginia's recipe is written for extra sharp cheese. So if that's your taste, go for it. I love extra sharp. Like the funkier, the better. That's my motto with cheese.
Well, also the thing is that when things have more flavor, you can have higher satisfaction, obviously. Like I'd rather have a little bit of something really good than a lot of it of something not very good.
Valid. I love that. A little bit of something really good.
A little bit of something really good.
Absolutely.
It's like the Steel Magnolias philosophy for those who are old enough to remember. All right, and I'm going to add some yogurt, but we can also add sour cream.
Yes, absolutely. So if we're thinking about filling and satisfying and quelling our hunger for a longer period of time, Greek yogurt is going to have more protein than, say, a sour cream. It's got a similar flavor profile. So they're both a little tart, a little tangy, and they're sour, both of them.
Tangy. Tangy and sour.
I said tangy, tart, and sour. They all mean the same.
Yeah.
So that is gonna like add to the fullness of the sauce. But with the Greek yogurt, you get a lot more protein.
And that's a great. It's wonderful because that's only 2% fat.
Exactly.
Right.
I chose the 2% yogurt.
All right. So we're gonna add some salt, pepper, and cayenne. And this is where if you wanted to go to town with some other seasonings and spices, you could.
Exactly. This is where you can, what are your favorite flavorings, your favorite seasonings, add them in here. Just as you said, you made the perfect point. Go for the ones without salt because you're going to get salt from other components of the dish, like your chicken stock, like your canned chicken, which we're going to talk about next. Your cheese has salt, maybe your breadcrumbs, depending on if you have seasoned or unseasoned. So you're going to get salt in other places. So hold the salt.
Hold the salt. Let me grab one of these. I'll put it on top of this. I want to put pull the pot over so we can see a little bit better.
Perfect.
So now this is a big pot of rice, raw rice still that hasn't cooked. And we've got thank you.
Yeah.
And we've got the rice and the vegetables. And then now we're going to add some chicken. And let's talk about the chicken.
So we're using canned chicken here because that might be what you find at the food pantry over fresh chicken. So you can absolutely use fresh chicken. Can you tell us about how much you might use?
I like to say about a pound and a half, because this is a casserole that's going to serve 6 to 8 people or 4 people with leftovers, or depending on your portion size.
Yes.
But it's not going to necessarily overcook too much because it's going to be cooking. But if you wanted to, you could use boneless, skinless breast. You could use thighs. And if you are receiving meat on the bone, it's going to be in the oven for approximately 45 minutes. So you want to just simply make sure that it's like something like maybe a drumstick.
Okay.
Or if you are using chicken breast on the bone, they're cut into pieces. On the bone is going to mean that it has to cook a little bit longer.
Yeah.
But if you are using either white or dark meat that has been cubed, it can be put in here raw at this point. And now this is ready for the next step. So we've got our oven preheated to 350.
And we've got our coated casserole dish. This is a 9x13. You can use glass, metal, whatever you've got on hand.
All right, and so then I'm just going to ladle this in. Let me get this a little bit closer so I'm not making a mess.
Here, I'll do this part, and you can dump it. You want to guess? Okay, you good?
Yeah.
Cool. There we go.
All right, I'm going to grab a This.
There you go. Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Can't really see. Here we go. There we go. A little bit of rice stuck to the bottom of the pot there.
So the oven is preheated to 350, and what we want to do is we're going to put it into the oven. We're going to cover it with foil, and we're going to put it in the oven for about 40 minutes. And what's going to happen during that period of time is that the rice is going to swell, and it's going to cook, and then we pull it out and add the broccoli and add the breadcrumbs, which is where we started today.
That went so quick.
I know it. It's easy. It's actually easy because we were even talking the whole time. So I'll get, you got the door, and then you want to bring the other one back when you come?
Yeah.
Here's this if you want it.
Oh, thank you. Oh, that smells so good.
There you go. Yay! Look at this casserole. Check that out. Mmm.
I don't think we said it, but that's a 350-degree oven.
Mm-hmm. So this is done. So what happened at the top when we added the broccoli, we put the more breadcrumbs and cheese on top, and then just popped it back in the oven for about 15 minutes. So this recipe is going to take someone about an hour to cook. Mm-hmm. And so it's a little bit of effort, but this might be something that you could make and then enjoy for a couple of days. Absolutely. This might be something that would be great to make and then have on hand like for the weekend, coming in and out. But obviously, depending on how hungry you are, but this should easily serve 6 to 8 people. Agreed.
So. What kind of dish would you like to serve this on?
Oh, I think we need to let it cool just a minute, but just like a regular plate would be great.
Plate, yeah. You got it. We didn't grab that part.
Yeah.
So now I can also see this casserole with a lot of other types of vegetables too.
Oh, sure.
So it doesn't have to just be broccoli, and we're talking about just because it is written very specifically with ingredients that you might not have on hand, you can use other types of vegetables.
Yeah.
What?
Cauliflower would be wonderful.
Yes.
I mean, if you wanted to add carrots to it, you could. There are carrots in the mirepoix anyway.
Yes.
I just think that we talked a little bit about brown rice. The challenge with brown rice, y'all, is that brown rice takes a lot longer to cook. So that would be my only recommendation to avoid. If you wanted to use cooked rice, like par cooked rice or the bagged rice, something like that, just know that it's going to take a little less time to cook, and you may not need so much liquid. So there's a couple of curveballs, but the great part is that the casserole is super, super user friendly and very forgiving. And there you go.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, friends, we're so excited for you to try this dish in any way that you prefer to prepare it, and with what you have on hand. It's going to be filling and flavorful and help you fight off hunger. So we wanted to share with you how you can take action here for Hunger Action Day in September Hunger Action Month. So many words there. So we've got a QR code that is for Chef Virginia Willis's fundraiser for Hunger Action Month. And you can also access this page through the link at the bottom under the code. So if the code doesn't work for you to try to scan it with your camera phone, you can type in the words at the bottom of the screen, and it'll take you to the same spot.
Awesome.
So just to make sure you know to scan this, you can aim your phone camera at the screen in your camera app, and then a little tiny link will pop up. You can tap that and it'll take you there. So we leave you with a prompt. How can you take action today on behalf of Hunger Action Month and your neighbors who are seeking support from the food bank and our network of food pantries? That doesn't have to only be money, and it doesn't have to only be food as well. So you can find your local food pantry and share some of your time with them to help them directly support your neighbors or come to the food bank and sort some food, you've got lots of options. So we leave you with that question.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me today. I really appreciate it. Bon appetit, y'all.
Thanks for being here. We'll see you in a couple weeks for the next episode of Pantry.